Hello, my name is Elena Granzi, and this is my presentation on preservation versus protest for LIS 7750. Over the past few years, there have been multiple attacks upon famous works by protesters. From the Mona Lisa to Girl with a Pearl Earring, environmental activists have been targeting famous artworks in an attempt to raise awareness about the current climate crisis. Acts have been performed by different organizations and groups across Europe and even into the US. These acts involve gluing themselves to artworks, walls, and frames, throwing food or other substances onto paintings, or other acts of vandalism such as throwing heavy objects and writing on the glass. Because of attacks, museums have had to step up security on items in their collections, limiting the public access. These activists, in result, turn the open access of museums against themselves. The main targets for these protests are historic paintings of great significance, such as Van Gogh, Monet, and Da Vinci, to name a few, but historic exhibits are not exempt. Two environmental activists glued themselves to a dinosaur display at Berlin's Natural History Museum. In Barcelona, a Spanish group poured red and brown slime over a case containing a replica mummy at the Egyptian Museum. And earlier this month, the US Constitution was subjected to a similar attack. Most of these artworks or items have nothing to do with the climate crisis, but are simply famous enough to draw attention to the activists' actions and therefore their cause. Activists stand by their actions, declaring that only protected items are targeted and that there should not be greater attention paid to paintings than the lack of available resources currently. While the paintings involved so far have been protected by glass, and some, including the Mona Lisa, bulletproof glass, protesters gluing themselves to frames have permanently damaged some of the wood. These are fragile, in most cases completely irreplaceable paintings and items that have been on display as part of their country's cultural heritage. But now many museums are having to weigh security of their collections versus allowing the public access. Access that is further limited by these attacks in the aftermath, as usually the entire exhibit has to be closed to clean up and inspect the involved works for any sustained damage, a process that can take an item away from display for weeks and involve dozens of people. Tens of thousands of dollars have been spent to clean paintings, galleries, and mend walls in the aftermath of these attacks. Public access is further limited by protester actions such as stand-ins, die-ins, and walk-ins. The questions I would like you to consider are thus: the climate activists who participate in these acts of vandalism do so to gain attention for their cause of the climate crisis. But do you think this attention is effective for their cause? Or do you think that the acts themselves of attempting vandalism upon these artworks and artifacts detract from their message? And second, how do you think museums and such should balance allowing public access to these items with such cultural significance while also maintaining their protection? Here is my work cited involving sources of news articles that covered the different attacks. And thank you very much for watching this presentation.